Hi, Rishi here. As Prime Minister, I'm focused on delivering on your priorities. So I'll be on the road to join GB News for a special People's Forum on Monday the 12th of February, where I'll be taking questions from a live audience about the issues that really matter to you: the economy, immigration, the NHS. See you there.
All right, let's go through the papers. Deputy Editor of Spiked, Fraser Myers, and writer and commentator Candice Holds with us, because I know we're tight for time, so I'm trying to get me words out quickly. Can we talk about the US presidency?
Yes, that is Fraser's story.
Fraser.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
So there's speculation that Biden and Kamala Harris could be replaced. I mean, it comes after this week. Pretty astonishing report came out saying that essentially Biden has troubles with his memory.
He's denied.
Which he denies. He's a sort of a well-meaning old elderly gentleman who cannot recall facts very well. And this was compounded as well by some of his recent appearances where he appeared to confuse the president of Mexico with the Prime Minister of Egypt, referring to AMLO as President Sisi. He also claims that he confused President Macron, the current President of France, with Francois Mitterrand, who's been dead for a very long time. Also confused Angela Merkel with Helmut Kohl, confusing a man and a woman. And again, Kohl is also long deceased.
The trouble is, the more he denies that he's got a problem, the more gaffes he makes.
Absolutely, and it just seems to be getting worse for him. And you know, he's 81 years old. No one is saying that elderly people shouldn't have a role in public life, but he should. So
what is the Express saying about who they could back instead?
So the Express is speculating. I mean, I've heard this name has been put around before, that potentially Michelle Obama could take the place of the Democratic candidate.
But there's absolutely no evidence.
There's no evidence for this at all. The other option is, yeah, exactly. The other option is Gavin Newsom is someone people talk about who's the current governor of California, very young, telegenic. But I think what's interesting is everyone also knows that Kamala Harris, the vice president, is also a no-hoper, because she is sometimes as incoherent as Joe Biden, even though she is, you know, just middle-aged, essentially. She gave a very rambling speech earlier this week where she said something like, you sound like you've just fallen out of a coconut tree. Everything happens in context. And no one could understand a word she's saying.
I mean, she's got absolutely no fan base.
There's no public support, no hope. So people are saying we've got to throw out the entire slate entirely. You know, we can't even have... Normally, you would go to the vice president as the next obvious person in line, but not in this instance.
It's just a dearth of leaders, even on both sides. I mean, you know, Trump has just completely taken over the party. There's no one to really challenge him. There's no up-and-comers in either the Republicans or the Democrats. I mean, what is going on?
Is it because if you're young and talented and forceful and dynamic, you're probably going to go into business rather than politics?
Yes, there could be a bit of that as well. And I do wonder sometimes if there's a misalignment of values. So, I mean, maybe, you know, younger millennials, they have certain policy ideas which maybe don't fit with older generations at the moment, and maybe that'll start coming to the fore as they grow older and go into those positions.
I was just looking at Gavin Newsom, who said is the young and dynamic governor of California. He's 56. He's 56, yeah. But that is...
But he looks good, doesn't he?
He does look good, but that's the whole sort of very young aspect of things now. He's an up-and-comer.
But I suppose that is a kind of normal age for a leader.
It means he's got experience, doesn't he?
Yeah. Whereas Michelle Obama, who I can imagine being extremely popular in many ways, I mean, she's always said, as much as anything else, she's always said she didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So it'd be very odd if she
suddenly stepped in.
Yeah. She's a nice person, and people like how she comes across, but she's never been a political figure. You know, she was the First Lady, and it's not your job to be a political figure. That's completely understandable.
Well, meanwhile, our democracy's in danger, Candice.
Yes.
According to Michael Gove.
Yes, so this is Michael Gove. This is a piece in the Sunday Times, and he's basically saying, which I think a lot of us know, that for younger people, if they're not able to get on the housing ladder, and to have feel some sort of investment in society, like society is serving them well. You know, they've done all the right things, they've, you know, studied hard, they've got a good job, they've saved, and they still can't afford a mortgage because mortgages have just multiplied so much, and salaries haven't risen in accordance, he makes the point that they're going to start getting disillusioned with the society that they live in, and they're not going to have faith in the political process and in the democratic process. I don't know if people will turn to authoritarian solutions, but I think people are feeling
What sort of
cynical.
authoritarian solution is he imagining?
I know, exactly. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think that's
I mean, there
gonna
is
happen.
disillusionment. My sons are all
Yeah.
at that sort of age where they would want by now, I mean, certainly by their age, I already owned a house.
Yeah,
And they can't even see it in their future at all.
No, I mean,
They're very, very upset about
It's impossible. And then with interest rates being what they are, it makes it even more unaffordable for people to own a home. I mean, this isn't just a British phenomenon. I think this is all over the Western world. The solutions they're coming up with, though, I mean, will they actually improve anything? You know, I mean, they were saying stuff like they'll do 99% mortgages and things like that. But that could fuel demand when there's not even enough supply, pushing prices up even further.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that was what funded or pushed the subprime mortgage market crash in 2008, isn't it? All these very high mortgage levels and no deposit.
Yeah, people who can't necessarily quite afford their mortgage. Yeah. I mean, what's extraordinary is this is not just a problem of home ownership, but just rents are impossible for many people. Now, more than half of 20 to 24-year-olds now live with their parents, which is astonishing. You know, that is a time when you want to be making your way in the world. You want to have some independence, you know, especially if you come out of university and your first job. So it's not even a case of, yes, you know, of course we do want young people to own their own homes, but we also want them to just be able to live in their own homes too, you know.
Yeah.
It's hugely difficult. I don't know how you begin to address it unless we just need to sort of migrate to a non-home owning nation.
See, my concern about that, though, is in older age, you don't really have anything to pass on to your children. And that was so transformative in the 20th century that people, you know, were able to finally pass on something to their kids.
Yeah, no,
I mean, a whole
absolutely.
generation of people who could never dream of home ownership were able to.
Yeah, OK. Look, we've got to leave it there, you two. It's been a joy to see you both this morning. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Here's Jonathan Fortune with the weather.